Just think for a moment. You've just been cut from your football team. Your dream is shattered. You're 23 years old, living back in your parents' small apartment. You check your wallet and find only $7. That's not just being broke. That's rock bottom. Most people would have given up. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson didn't. From that moment of despair, he built himself into a global icon, one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, a wrestling legend and a symbol of resilience. This is the story of how The Rock went from $7 in his pocket to becoming one of the most influential figures on the planet. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born in 1972 into a wrestling family. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a professional wrestler, and his grandfather, Peter Maivia, was also a wrestling pioneer. From the outside, it might sound like he was destined for success. But the reality? Life was brutally hard. His family moved constantly, wrestling didn't pay much, and financial struggles followed them everywhere. Dwayne has spoken openly about watching his family get evicted, about having no steady home, and about his parents working multiple jobs just to scrape by. At 14 years old, Dwayne came home one day to find his mother sitting on the front steps, crying, because they had just been evicted from their apartment. That moment burned into his memory. It was his first taste of what it meant to hit bottom. By his teenage years, Dwayne was angry, frustrated, and headed down the wrong path. He got into fights, stole, and was even arrested multiple times for petty crimes. Teachers and neighbors saw him as a lost cause. But deep inside, Dwayne knew he wanted more. Dwayne's escape came through sports. He discovered weightlifting and football, and suddenly he had a sense of direction. His massive size and natural athleticism made him a standout, and football became his dream ticket out of poverty. With relentless training, he earned a scholarship to the University of Miami, one of the top football programs in the country. For a kid who once had nothing, this felt like the first real shot at a better life. At Miami, he played defensive tackle and even won a national championship in 1991. But his college career wasn't without struggle. He faced injuries, fierce competition, and constant doubts about his future in the NFL. Still, he refused to give up. When he graduated, Dwayne set his sights on professional football. He signed with the Calgary Stampeders of the Canadian Football League. This was supposed to be the beginning of his big break, but instead, it became the beginning of his lowest chapter. In Canada, things unraveled quickly. Dwayne barely got playing time. His pay was low, and he couldn't even afford his own apartment. He slept on a filthy mattress in a small apartment shared with teammates. After just 2 months, the Stampeders cut him from the team. And just like that, his football dream was dead. At 23 years old, he was broken, depressed, and directionless. He had sacrificed everything for football, and now he had nothing to show for it. When he returned home to Miami, he opened his wallet and found only $7. $7. That was his net worth. That was his rock bottom. He's often said, "I had $7 in my pocket, and I knew 2 things. I'm broke as hell, and one day I won't be." That mindset, turning despair into fuel, was the spark that would change everything. At his lowest point, Dwayne leaned on his family. His father, Rocky Johnson, suggested wrestling. At first, Dwayne resisted. He had watched the hardships of his father's career. Long hours, brutal travel, little money. But deep down, he knew he needed a fresh start, so he gave it a shot. He began training in professional wrestling, bringing with him his size, athleticism, and most importantly, his hunger. He debuted in 1996 under the name Rocky Maivia, honoring his father and grandfather. At first, the crowd didn't like him. Fans even chanted, "Die, Rocky, die!" But instead of giving up, he reinvented himself. He became The Rock, a charismatic, trash-talking, eyebrow-raising superstar who electrified audiences. Within a few years, he became one of the biggest stars in WWE history. His rivalries with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, and others filled arenas around the world. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was an entertainer, a brand, and a phenomenon. By the early 2000s, The Rock was a household name. But for Dwayne, this was only the beginning. Wrestling made him famous, but Dwayne had bigger dreams. He wanted to conquer Hollywood, yet making that transition wasn't easy. Wrestlers were rarely taken seriously as actors. Many critics thought he'd fail. But The Rock had one thing no one could ignore: work ethic. He took acting lessons, worked tirelessly, and accepted smaller roles before landing his breakout performance in The Mummy Returns, 2001. That led to The Scorpion King, 2002, where he earned $5.5 million, setting a record for a first-time leading actor. Still, Hollywood wasn't smooth sailing. He faced roles that typecast him as just a muscle-bound action star. Some films flopped, but instead of quitting, Dwayne adapted. He expanded into comedy, The Game Plan, Tooth Fairy, family films, and later into mega franchises like Fast and Furious and Jumanji. By the 2010s, he had become one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. In 2018 and 2019, Forbes named him the highest-paid actor in the world, earning over $80 million per year. So how did he do it? What turned a broke football player into a global superstar? The answer lies in The Rock's mindset. He wakes up at 4 a.m. to train. He preaches about putting in the work when no one is watching. He built his career not on talent alone, but on discipline, resilience, and consistency. He often says, "Be the hardest worker in the room," and he lives by it. Whether in wrestling, acting, or business, The Rock approaches every project with obsession-level focus. He doesn't see failure as the end. It's fuel. Every rejection, every setback, every closed door becomes motivation to push harder. But Dwayne didn't stop at wrestling and acting. He became an entrepreneur. He launched $7 Productions, a company named after that rock-bottom moment with $7 in his pocket. Through it, he produces films, TV shows, and digital content, shaping his own narrative. He also co-founded Terramana Tequila, which exploded in popularity, and is on track to become one of the most successful celebrity liquor brands ever. From sports, to entertainment, to business, The Rock has built an empire, driven by the very hunger he felt when he had nothing. Despite his success, Dwayne never forgot his roots. He gives back constantly, funding scholarships, donating to charities, surprising fans, and helping communities in need. He often says his greatest joy isn't fame or money. It's using his platform to inspire and uplift others. That's why millions look up to him not just as an actor or athlete, but as a role model who turned pain into purpose. Today, Dwayne Johnson is more than just The Rock. He's a global brand, an entrepreneur, a father, and an icon of resilience. From $7 in his pocket to Forbes' highest-paid actor, from eviction notices to blockbuster premieres, from failure in football to global superstardom. His story is living proof that failure isn't final. It's the foundation for success. So ask yourself this: what's your $7 moment? The time when life felt hopeless? When the world told you it was over? For The Rock, that moment became the fuel for everything he built. And maybe, just maybe, your lowest point can become your turning point too. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What inspires you most about The Rock's journey? Drop it in the comments below. And if this story fired you up, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more motivational stories like this. If The Rock's journey inspired you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story that could change your perspective. Always keep in mind, success isn't about where you start. It's about the fight inside you. Just like Dwayne Johnson, you can turn setbacks into comebacks, doubt into determination, and $7 into a legacy. The world isn't waiting for perfections, waiting for your persistence. So what are you waiting for? Start today.